What if I told you the most powerful tool for learning isn't about what you know, but how you know it? Today, we're going to dive into a concept that is, no joke, a complete game changer. It's called metacognition. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been reading something, maybe a really dense article, and you just stop and think, wait, why am I not getting this? Or maybe you're trying to solve a puzzle and you start thinking about the actual steps your mind is taking. Well, that right there, that moment of self-awareness, that's metacognition in action.
So what is this thing exactly? Well, put simply, metacognition is thinking about your own thinking. It sounds a little trippy, right? But the prefix meta just means about the thing itself. So we're literally talking about cognition about cognition. It's like your brain has this little supervisor that can step back and watch itself work.
Now, to really get a handle on this, let's break it down. It really has two core parts. You can think of them as two sides of the same very powerful coin. Okay, so on one side, you've got metacognitive knowledge. This is all the stuff you know about your own mind. And on the other side, that's metacognitive regulation. And this is all about what you do with that knowledge. It's really the difference between knowing you have a toolbox and actually, opening it up and picking the right tool for the job.
Let's dig into that metacognitive knowledge a bit more. It covers a few things. First, it's about knowing yourself, right? Your strengths, your weaknesses, like just admitting, you know what? I am terrible at remembering dates. Second, it's about understanding the task in front of you, like looking at a paper and going, okay, this is dense, this is going to take some real focus. And third, it's knowing your little tricks and strategies, like knowing that breaking a long number into smaller chunks just helps it stick in your brain.
Metacognitive regulation, though, that's where the rubber meets the road. This is the active, in-the-moment management of your own learning. It's that little voice in your head that says, hang on, I've read this same paragraph 3 times and it's still not sinking in. I've got to try something different. It's all about checking in on yourself and being willing to switch things up when they aren't working.
Now, I know this can all still feel a bit, abstract. So, to make it more concrete, scientists have come up with some really helpful models. Let's take a look at one of the most famous ones. So, the Nelson and Nairns model pictures this whole thing on 2 levels. Down here at the object level, you're just doing the thing. You're reading the words on the page. But up here at the meta level, that little supervisor is constantly monitoring things. It's asking, are we getting this? And the second the meta level gets feedback like, nope, completely lost, it kicks in a control process. It tells you, hey, let's reread that sentence, or maybe we should look up that word. It's this constant, beautiful feedback loop between doing and thinking about the doing.
So, we've defined metacognition, we've seen a model of it. But here's the big question. Why does any of this matter? This is the so what. And trust me, it's where things get really exciting for anyone who wants to be a better learner.
And here it is. This is the key. Research has shown again and again that metacognition is a huge predictor of learning success. And get this, it's totally separate from raw intelligence or cognitive ability. What does that mean? It means that by getting better at thinking about your thinking, you can actually make up for other cognitive weak spots. It's not just about how smart you are, it's about how you use what you've got. It's about learning smarter.
And the benefits are just huge. We're talking about better academic achievement across all ages and pretty much any subject you can think of. Reading, writing, math, you name it. It's a foundational skill that lifts everything else up with it.
Now, you don't just wake up one day with amazing metacognition. It's a skill you build. Think of it like leveling up. We all start out as tacit learners. We're not even aware of how we think. Then we become aware, but we're not really doing anything about it. With some effort, we can become strategic. We actually use specific strategies to learn. But the top level, the goal is to be a reflective learner. That's someone who not only uses strategies, but is constantly checking in, reflecting, and tweaking their approach on the fly. So be honest, where do you think you are on this journey right now?
Okay, so that leads us to the most important part, right? The now what? How do we actually do this? How can we get better at this superpower? Let's get into some real practical strategies you can use.
One of the absolute best things we can do, especially if you're a teacher or a parent, is to just think aloud. It's exactly what it sounds like. When you're solving a problem, you just say your thoughts out loud. Things like, okay, first step here is to figure out what the question is actually asking. That approach isn't working. Let me back up and try something else. You're making the invisible process of thinking totally visible for someone else to learn from. It's so powerful.
A really great structured way to do this for yourself is a method called reciprocal teaching. It's a simple 4-part cycle. First, you summarize what you just learned in your own words. Then, you question anything you're not sure about. After that, you work to clarify those confusing parts. And finally, you try to predict what's probably coming next. This little routine forces you to stop, engage, and really check your own understanding.
So, to really make this stuff stick, there are a few key things to remember. First, always know what the goal is. Make it super explicit. Second, have a plan for how you're going to check in on your progress. Third, and this one is so important, weave these strategies right into the subject you're learning. Don't treat them like some separate, generic skill. And finally, just talk about it. Encourage metacognitive talk, just the simple act of talking about how we're learning.
So I'll leave you with this one last question to get you started. Right now, in this moment, what's one thought you've had about your own learning process just from watching this? Go ahead, think of one. That question, and the moment you start to answer it, that's you, right now, practicing metacognition.